Welcome to College Admissions After COVID, a guide for the class of 2022 and 2023. I am Natalie Clark, an education program consultant and individual plan of study coordinator for the Department of Education. Today's panel discussion is facilitated by the Kansas Board of Regents and Tara Labar, the Associate Director for Academic Affairs. And I'd like to thank in advance our panelists for being here and sharing time today.
That's right, Natalie. I'm Tara Labar. I'm Associate Director for Academic Affairs at the Kansas Board of Regents. We've got a great group of panelists here today ready to share their expert advice with students and families across Kansas. To start us off, I'll introduce our moderator for the panel, Samantha Coronado.
Hello, my name is Samantha Coronado and I will be facilitating the panel today. I'm a school counselor at Blue Valley West High School in Overland Park. We're joined today by 4 higher education professionals. Our panel members represent a technical college, a community college, and 2 of our public Kansas universities. They will be answering questions to help rising juniors and seniors in their post-secondary planning as our communities transition out of the restrictions we've experienced during COVID-19 pandemic. We'll talk about how the admission landscape has changed and what things haven't changed as we move into the fall of 2021. I will now turn to our panel and ask them to introduce themselves, including name, institution, position, and how long they've been in their current role. We will start with Tana.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tana Cooper. I am the Director of Admissions at Barton Community College, which is located in Great Bend, Kansas, and I have been the director here for over 10 years now.
Hello, everybody. My name is Brian Crouch. I'm with Flint Hills Technical College in Emporia, Kansas. I have been in my current role for 4 years, and I am an admissions representative.
Good morning. My name is Joseph Tinsley. I'm the Director of Admissions with Washburn University. I've been at Washburn a little over 3.5 years, and it's been an enjoyable experience.
Hey everyone, my name is Brian Palermo. I'm the Assistant Director of Freshman Recruitment at KU. I've been in this role for 2 years, but I've been with the University of Kansas Office of Admissions for 5 years. Previously, for 3 years, I was the St. Louis Regional Rep. So I'm happy to be back in Lawrence and working this current position.
All right, well, thank you all for joining us here today. To get us started, the first question I've got for you is, over the past year, it's been really difficult for students to do on-campus visits. In the coming year, do you see these coming back? And then what about large group activities like junior and senior open house days? And do you believe that these are still going to continue to be an important part of the college search process in the future?
That's a great question, and absolutely they will be. I've always said that students and parents, they crave that authentic connectivity. I think most of us in our profession, we know that one of the most effective ways for fostering the desire to attend college beyond high school is visiting the campuses, the colleges and universities throughout the state. All of our schools have been leaders throughout this past year in making sure we have a very safe environment for our students and our guests. But many of us, as we transition back into the fall, when prospective students go on college visits with their parents, for us, we all believe that they leave with a more detailed picture of the campus in terms of their program of interest, living space, the campus ambiance, athletic facilities, and so many other things. And quite frankly, in my opinion, it also helps to reinforce and refocus and validate the work that they're doing in high school. That connection between the high schools and colleges is much more, there's a stronger bond there. So for us, we're preparing for the total capacity that we saw prior to the pandemic, but with some additional adjustments to make sure that we maintain safety guidelines for the county and the state.
Yeah, I definitely want to add in there. Just to add on top of what Joe was saying, We certainly plan to have more visit options this fall and throughout the coming school year. But, of course, student safety and visitor safety takes priority. So whatever precautions need to be taken to make those visits safe, we will certainly be doing. But we can't emphasize enough the importance of the college visit and how much that can impact a student's decision when it comes to actually choosing a university. Right now, University of Kansas is still doing some limited in-person visits. And I just love having those conversations as the students are coming in and hearing them kind of be, I'm still deciding, I'm on the fence. And then by the end of the visit, you get those students who are ready to commit, because there's just that, you don't really know until you get to see the space and you feel what it's like to be on that campus. And, for students who are going through the process now or are starting to take place in this process, get in as many visits as you can, or as many as you're comfortable with, because that really helps you get a sense of, is this college the right fit for me? And to kind of talk about some of our larger visit days, know that we're trying to bring back some of those junior and senior open houses, just because it allows students to really access all of campus, get to meet with various academic departments, learn about various programs, things like that. It's a great way for students to really just get in and see as much as they possibly can. But yes, certainly this is an important part of the college search process, and we hope to bring as much of these visits back to campus as possible in the coming year.
At Barton on Great Bend, we're kind of more Western Kansas, and we've already hosted 2 large events in April. Both had about 200 people at both events. We, of course, practice social distancing and abide by all the guidelines. But I can tell you, of all my 10 years of being the director and 13 years of the college, this was one of the best events, because the vibe to be back face to face, to seeing people, was amazing. And it was just literally a breath of fresh air to see people face to face and have some good quality content to get people on campus to see what they're actually going into. So I highly encourage it. All of us would take our own responsibility to make sure that we make the campus as safe as possible for you guys. And we limited sizes and classrooms and kind of modified everything, but it was amazing. So if you can get back on a campus, I highly encourage to do that, because Zoom's great and it can do as much as it can, but the face-to-face is where it's at.
Yeah, just to wrap this up, we're going to be in the same boat. We are moving forward with group visits again. We're doing group visits now this spring. And then, of course, in the fall, not only do we feel it's important for the students to get on campus, but as faculty and staff, we need you here as well. We need that energy on campus. We thrive off that, and we need it just as much as you guys need to get on campus to see the programs and see the facilities. So this is going to be a win for all of us to get everybody back on campus and get back to some normal life again coming this fall for all of our campuses here in Kansas.
Thank you. There have been some changes in the qualified admissions requirements for our Kansas public universities in the past year. Can we take some time to review those changes?
Sure. And I'll start off with that because I can show everyone some of the changes that we put in place for admissions this fall. Oops, let me go back up here. All right, so we're going to start with our qualified admissions. Now, this is going to be for all 6 of our Kansas Regents universities. So we're talking about Emporia State, Pittsburgh State, Fort Hays State, and Wichita State. I'll start with those schools first. This year, this fall, for the class of 2020 and beyond, the qualified admissions criteria changed. And so if you've had older siblings or older students that have applied for our Kansas public universities, this is going to look different, and that's okay. So this is kind of a big change. But with those 4 universities, students can either qualify with an ACT of 21 or higher, or they can have a cumulative GPA of 2.25 on their high school transcript. And so it's an either or type of situation. And we also don't have the qualified admission coursework requirements anymore. That went away. We recommend the Kansas Scholars Curriculum, but it's not required. So for students who have a 21 or higher on their ACT, you send in your application, you're accepted. If you have a 2.25 cumulative GPA on your high school transcript, you send in your application and you're automatically accepted. So for K-State, that looks a little bit different. K-State changed for the class of 2020 and beyond. Their ACT is the same, 21 or higher, but their cumulative GPA is higher. So 3.25 cumulative GPA will get you automatically accepted for qualified admissions. And then KU also changed theirs, but there's another change coming this fall. I'll show you that, and I'll let Brian talk a little bit about the changes that are coming this fall for KU.
Yeah, so I mean, as you can see here, as Tara has laid out, so for admission for us, it's a 21 ACT and a 2.0 GPA, or without a test score, just looking at a 3.25 cumulative GPA. And that's, you know, your weighted or unweighted GPA that you can use for that. Yeah, and you know, kind of, it's a larger trend that schools are moving away from requiring tests for admission. You know, a lot of data supports that the strongest indicator for college success is high school GPA. And so that's where we are trying to reflect our admissions and make sure that we are making college as accessible as possible for students. And also just to kind of take a big stressor away of requiring that ACT or that SAT test score. I will say, you know, for students, if you really wanted to be focusing on one thing, it's focusing on your high school GPA, because, you know, there's, like I said, that is the strongest indicator of college success, but also there's still going to be merit-based scholarships, and the heaviest weight that we're looking at of awarding those scholarships is going to be based off of your high school GPA. We'll still have more information to come on our scholarships because those haven't been set in stone. But just if you're looking at KU, if you meet these criteria, know that if you submit your transcript or your application with these criteria, you're going to be accepted. One thing to point out, though, if you're looking at specific professional programs, whether it's at KU or other institutions, be sure to check on the admission criteria for specific programs like our School of Business, the School of Engineering, the School of Journalism, and so on, because sometimes there are some additional admission criteria to be paying attention in those. So that's just another little piece of advice there.
That's a great reminder, Brian. Thanks for that. And the other thing that I want to say for all 6 of our institutions, if you don't meet the criteria, maybe you don't quite have that ACT score, don't quite have the GPA, go ahead and apply anyway, because there are some exception criteria, and many students who just are shy of one of those requirements will oftentimes still be accepted. So these criteria that you're seeing are to be automatically accepted. So you know, if you have it, you submit your application, you're accepted. But even students that don't always have these specific, they can still be accepted under our exceptions criteria. They just go through a review process. And that is something that sometimes even the students don't know that's what's happening. So when in doubt, reach out to your admission counselor to find out those questions, but also don't hesitate to apply. And I think that's a really important message for all 6 of our public universities. The other thing that I'll add is that if you have any college credit, that requirement's unchanged. You still have to have a 2.0 cumulative GPA on any college courses taken in high school. And that also new for this cycle is that super scoring is allowed for that ACT testing, which means if you've taken the ACT more than one time, you can take the best of your subject scores, and that can be averaged for you for kind of a best potential ACT score. So that's another option that's going to be available to students applying to our 6 Kansas public universities under the Regent system. One quick thing I'll say about the required Kansas Scholars curriculum is we don't require specific high school courses anymore to be automatically accepted to our Kansas universities, but we recommend that students who are thinking about graduating from high school and going directly to a 4-year university follow the Kansas Scholars curriculum. And just as a good college prep curriculum, it's not a requirement, it's a recommendation. And so that might be something you want to talk to your counselor about, just to make sure you're taking the best courses that can prepare you for that 4-year university path. And with that, I'll stop sharing.
Thank you. So college admission testing, colleges requiring the ACT and the SAT were also greatly impacted by the pandemic, leading more and more colleges to adopt a test optional admissions policy. While this trend started many years before, last year, universities across the country had to adapt since many students had limited access to testing. All of our Kansas universities have guaranteed acceptance with an ACT score or a GPA, and KU, K-State, and Wichita State are now planning to have a test optional application for merit scholarships in the fall. Testing opportunities are now coming back across the country, and most students will still choose to submit their ACT scores for college admissions, typically starting to test in their junior year. For students who have a strong high school GPA and have trouble with standardized testing, test optional admissions and scholarships might be something that you want to learn more about. For more information about universities with test optional admissions, see the fairtest.org website or talk to your school counselor to see if test optional might be a good plan for you. Next, I'm curious to know what the admission requirements look like at Washburn and our community and technical colleges.
Thank you, Samantha. At Washburn, we're at the 225 or the 21 on the ACT. We are currently, right now, working with university leadership to construct a scholarship model that does incorporate scholarships for students without test scores. So we're very proud of that particular effort there. I've always been a fan of the GPA being the strongest predictor of students' general intelligence. And I know it takes that weight off and that pressure off of families to put that extra work in trying to get a certain score on a standardized test. Now, with that being said, we know that students will still take standardized tests, and they have a place and a level of relevancy in the larger scheme of things. But to be able to have options for students coming out of high school to fulfill and achieve their goal of getting a college degree, I am super honored and proud to be working in higher ed during this time of transition.
Brian, can you give us some insight on what your admission requirements look like at the technical school?
Yeah, sure. So at Flint Hills Technical College, we have adapted to the same standards that the Regent schools have. So we have qualified admissions with a 2.5 GPA or higher. That'll automatically get you qualified into the majority of our programs. Some of our health programs do require a CODA requirement. And so some of those still require an ACT score or another standardized test, which is called the TEAS test for our nursing program. As mentioned prior, you do need to look individually at the programs because some programs still require that testing score to get admitted. For the majority of our programs here at Flint Hills, 2.5 or higher GPA will place you into those programs. We're still accepting ACT scores. And if you do fall below that threshold, we do get some disappointed students. There's still a testing option. You can still take the AccuPlacer test at the technical college and get a qualified score that way. And again, if you do fall short, we see that just like 1 or 2 points shy and students are disappointed, we can run them through our multiple measures rubric. And we look at your core subjects that you've taken at the high school. We look at your grades there, your GPA there, match it up with your test scores. And we have a lot of students that qualify through that multiple measures as well. So there's a lot of layers to it. It can be confusing from the student's perspective. So again, work with your admissions office, allow them to help you through these steps, and just keep your head up because there's a lot of opportunity available to get into these different schools.
At Barton, we have an open admissions policy. It's not based on GPA or ACT scores. However, we do use ACT and AccuPlacer scores as placements for your classes, and we also have the TEAS test for the nursing as well. So a couple have some prerequisites but for the admissions policy, we are an open admissions school.
Perfect, thank you. The pandemic has been challenging for many families, and as a result, some graduates are reconsidering their post-secondary plans. Is there an advantage to starting off at a community or technical college?
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of advantages to start at a community or technical college. I know at Flint Hills Tech College, the cost per credit hour is an advantage. Every dollar counts, especially during this time. We know that a lot of households have been financially challenged during this past year. And so saving those dollars per credit hour can really help you, along with the robust scholarship opportunities that are available. All of those dollars help reduce the cost of your education. And if you can take some of those gen ed courses for dual credit through your community college or your technical college, most of those will transfer. Speaking of transfer, we have a lot of 2+2 opportunities. I know at FHTC, we have a lot of partnerships, which allow students to get started on their post-secondary education at that lower price point. For many students, they can start as high school students. And the ability to live at home while attending college is another cost-saving measure for them. And then, of course, the class sizes. Your community colleges and your technical colleges are a smaller institution compared to your larger regent schools. And so just that smaller 14-to-1 is about what we have in student to instructor ratio really helps with that social distancing as we move forward with these protocols. The labs are still in person because we are smaller. We can still space our students out and just still have that hands-on learning, which was definite benefit that we had compared to some of those larger universities. And then the last thing is just the job market. I know for technical education, the job market is extremely rich right now. There's a lot of opportunities available, and they're in very high demand and they carry a high wage. And so we have a lot of graduates graduating from Flint Hills Tech that are making as much or more than a lot of graduates from a university. And so there's advantages to starting at these smaller institutions and then exploring to see what else is out there. So you can pursue more education if that's what you desire.
Yeah, Brian hit that one on the head. Great points in there about the class sizes, about the cost. Oh, I'm so sorry, my light went out with activity. And then also the quickness of it, because some students don't want to be in school for 4 to 6 years. There's some programs that you can be done in a semester long, a 6 months time frame, a year time frame. So I highly encourage to look at the community college, technical college way, and then if you love that, just go to the 4-year school. There's so many ways and pathways to get your education and to get into the workforce that there's tons of options. So I would say look what's close to you. If you need to stay home, support the family, there's places everywhere that can help you with your higher education goals.
Perfect. So as students consider their post-secondary options, some students are struggling to decide on a major. How do you advise undecided majors at your institution?
Yeah, so I think we do an exceptional job at this. We've incorporated something called Exploratory Pathways in the past few years, something I wish I would have had when I was an undergraduate. But essentially, if you are an undecided student coming into KU, you're going to meet with your academic advisor, and they're going to help push you into one of our exploratory pathways. So there are 6 exploratory pathways that you can choose from, and I'll just kind of read those off so you kind of get a sense of them. But there are communication and leadership, creative arts and design, education and public service, health and behavioral sciences, languages and cultures, and science and technology. And these are designed to kind of get you into somewhat of a pathway so that you're being exposed to kind of your interests. So the reason you choose one of these is because you're generally interested in this area, but you're not exactly sure what major you want within that. And then within that process, you're taking classes that have kind of been handpicked by our faculty that they see as classes that best allow students to explore these given areas. And then you're given academic advising and career advising through our career services to help you find a career path and a academic major that is best aligned with your interests and your goals for yourself. So it's a really it's honestly a really great starting point for students, even students who have maybe a general idea of what they want or a few different majors. I still think this is a great pathway because it allows you to take classes that ultimately will lead towards degree progression and completion, but you're not setting yourself into a specific major from day one. And it allows you to just get some additional guidance to choose what's best for you. And I think, to kind of go back on that, your previous question regarding transferring, that's another nice thing that you can do. You can kind of learn from a junior college or a community college and bring those credits to KU. Most credits do transfer to KU. Also, I see that a lot of students may not be eligible for scholarships with their high school GPA, and then they go and knock it out of the park at a junior college or community college, and they come to KU with a great scholarship. So I think, those two ways are great ways to start off at a four-year institution.
And those all of the points are spot on. And one of the things that we see at Washburn when we have students and families that come in for the private individualized visits, when they meet with the academic departments, even though students and families may have a kind of a cursory understanding of what pathways they may want to go into, when they meet with the professionals, the academic professionals, in most cases that have the highest degrees in their chosen profession, and they illuminate those students and families and show them there's so many things that you can do with a specific interest that could kind of bridge into other career fields. It gives the students a much more deeper understanding, and the parents as well. We talk when we have our counselor visits with them after their tour. We talk about the job rate in particular areas if they have interest over the next 5 to 10 years, what median income salaries look like, to get them to understand. Obviously, we want students to go into a career, number one, that they love, to help improve the human condition, but to have a sustainable level of finances to help improve their lives, also kind of paints that picture. It helps to put things in a much more linear pathway that they can begin to start to take those steps while in high school to realize that vision once they do come to college. And once they become students at Washburn, between our Success Institute and academic advising, a student can come in, because we share with families and students when they come, sometimes they may feel the pressure to indicate that they have an interest, though they may or may not. We tell them that's okay, because a lot of our institutions have been very creative and use their level of expertise. We let them know the gen ed and some of those courses that they're taking before they go into a chosen discipline will be able to be moved and used in varying academic pathways, so it doesn't necessarily set them behind. But we absolutely tell them it's okay. If you don't have a particular career interest or academic pathway, the professionals that are on our college universities, our technical and community colleges, can help steer them in a pathway that fits their needs.
Barton, we kind of handle our undecided students in 2 different ways. Kind of like Joe was saying with the undecided ones, it's okay to be undecided. There are a ton of general studies classes that transfer to an accredited university, and we have pathways that do that. So there's 60 hours you can take of just general study classes with English and math and science and all of those to get out of the way. And then you can concentrate on your major once you decide 2 years later, once you're at a 4-year institution. Or we also have our career center that can do a free aptitude test that asks you, are you good with working with your hands? Do you like working with children? Are you a math person? Are you multiple questions? And then the test comes back automatically and kind of says, hey, we think you might be a good early education major. You could be a good accounting major. And then you can meet with your advisors and you kind of talk over those results. So there's different pathways to take, but being undecided is perfectly fine. You could be it for a couple of years in college and then come to your major later on in life.
Yeah, at a technical college, a couple of things. We do have a lot of non-degree seeking students that are just here for gen eds, and they will transfer as mentioned prior. And so that happens a lot. And then we are a little different. We put all of our, because we're an associate degree granting institution, we backload our gen ed courses. So when you come to Flint Hills, you're going to immediately be in your major. So if it's a nursing program, an automotive program, you're that first semester, you're knee deep into that program, and you're going to know immediately if that's something that is your interest or not. If you think that's not your major, you're only one semester in, so it's really quick to be able to switch into something different before you're too far into your education process. So front loading that major, those classes, does help those students that are kind of on the fence trying to make a decision, and we can readjust and shift those with the advisors as needed.
Perfect. What is one tip that you would give to prospective juniors and seniors starting their college search process?
I always say go on as many campus visits as you possibly can. You need to find out what vibe is good for you. I have a niece that is a junior about to be a senior, and she has 2 top schools, and one is the largest one in the state of Kansas, and the other one class size average is about 10. And she needs to go on both campus tours to make sure that what fits her right and what's going to be best for her learning style and her living environment and where she thinks she's going to thrive. So go as many campus tours, open houses, ask the questions that you need, get a good feel for it. Don't just take what pamphlets say and what we say as admissions reps. You got to go and actually put your foot on the campus, ask the questions, and feel what's right for you. Go to your right, makes you feel at home.
I think we're all going to say campus visits before we're all done with this question. But yes, of course, campus visits, number one. We're going to say it over and over again because it is the highest priority. The second thing I would say is make sure that your institution has the major you want to study. So if they don't have your education pathway or your major, just because it may be a fun campus or the fun environment, you may not get out of it, which is your ultimate goal, which is the degree and the education that you're trying to pursue.
Joe, I think we're having a little trouble hearing you. Are you muted?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I would be the one. I was muted.
No worries.
It wouldn't be Zoom if that wasn't said at least once. So now we're official. I would say would be open for families and students when they go on visits. They may have some idea of some track, but in one vein, but also to be open for additional possibilities when they set foot on campuses. And what we also share with them too, to kind of think outside of the norm with the campus visit, when they do go, look at when they can come on weekends, during homecomings, when there is an event on campus, if travel and time allows, where there is a special event going on in the evening that deals with maybe social justice or things that they find that are important to them, because what we hope to do is to try to inculcate them to getting used to that lifestyle of being on a college campus, being immersed around other students, to really get a chance to, as Tana so eloquently described and Brian, to create that feeling, because that obviously there are certain pillars with cost, academic program, size, but there's also that one that's tied to the emotional connection that students and families have with the institutions. And what better way to get a clear picture to develop that by going to the campus visits and really exploring other opportunities that exist throughout the course of the year that may exist beyond the traditional visit windows.
I love what you said there, Joe, about just kind of being open. I think that is huge for sophomores, juniors, seniors, even once you get into college, because it feels like there's a lot of pressure to know exactly what you need to do or want to do for the rest of your life when you're 17, 18 years old. And I promise you, you have time to still figure it out once you're on a college campus. You have a lot of resource to help you navigate all of the possibilities and opportunities for you. So don't feel like, to Joe's point, you have to know exactly what you want to do when you first step onto a college campus. Be open, be curious, try different things. That's kind of part of the college experience, right? And then as you're going through this process as a high school student, one thing that I firmly believe and recommend, and something that I didn't really know to take advantage of as a high school student myself, work with your admissions people at universities, because I promise you they will bend over backwards to help you find whatever it is you're looking for on a college campus, and be bold too. Ask for big things. Hey, I want to talk to this specific professor, or I want to do this specific tour, or whatever it may be. And I promise we're going to do our best to make those things happen for you. So take advantage of admissions representatives, because they are the experts at their university. And if they don't know the answer, I promise you they can connect you with the people who do. So that's probably my biggest tip there, is to take advantage of admissions folks.
Thank you so much to everybody who joined us today. We learned a lot of great information, some new information, and some great tips. To the class of 2022 and 2023, we encourage you to seek out opportunities to visit your campuses that you're thinking about. Reach out to the college admissions offices with any questions you may have. As you heard today, there are many post-secondary options and opportunities for you all across the state of Kansas. To our panel members, we would like to thank you for your insight and information. We sincerely appreciate all of your time and expertise. We wish everyone the best. Have a wonderful day.